Warning, personal opinions, satirical comedy, and spoilers.
Hey, where's the party?
If ever you see a party not happening, that means you're the party. Come on, gang, let's heat this place back up.
Hello everybody, I'm WHYBOY and this is NERO.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm starting to think you don't like these Scooby-Doo movies.
I don't.
You were, oh.
I don't.
No,
Let me they've all sucked. Different kinds of suck, but they've all sucked.
But Nero, that's not true for one major reason. Sword and the Scoob is just sucking from everywhere in all the Scooby-Doo movies, all put into one movie.
It does actually take virtually everything we've criticized the last 4 films, between poor characterization amongst the gang, Velma doubling down on being a denier by this point as a caricature.
So wait, we time traveled? Well, gang, it looks like we have another mystery on
Nope, not a mystery. It's a hoax.
Then how did we time travel?
We did not time travel. This is a prank or a Japanese game show.
You have the same time, you have Fred, where it's like Fred is still dealing with like constant insecurities about things.
Map? Daphne, Jonesmen don't need maps.
Daphne is just given quirks now, because when you don't know what to do with Daphne,
You give her a quirk.
I'm telling you, reality's a simulation, girl. The universe can't implode because it isn't even real. I look at you guys and I just see 011101110. Daphne.
You need to shut the f up!
it gets to the point where it's like, this is what we do now with Mystery Inc., is that we turned them into like weird caricatures of themselves.
Exactly, like the movie just struggles to basically make them able to do things and all that. And I do want to add in, there is one thing, unique about this movie above all else, and that is the really terrible animation in this one. I mean, wow. There is just so much scaling, and just like with the colors, everything is just so desaturated in comparison to every other Scooby-Doo movie. It doesn't really make any sense, because as soon as we basically just threw it into an editing software, just changed saturation by a little bit, it's fixed. Maybe Scooby's a little bright, but everything else seems to fit within the actual setting.
The whole film views like you're wearing sick goggles. Oh, the colors are so void and lifeless. It's funny that so far it's been one of the worst looking films to date, actually. Just in terms of like modern era Scooby-Doo, obviously we're not dating all the way back to like films from like the 80s or something but like in terms of like the last 5 years direct to DVD films, this one just looks particularly like ewy.
Ew. Maybe we're getting a little too ahead of ourselves. We gotta tell people what the story is.
Okay, so the basic plot is, it's a time travel story. Or is it?
Ooh.
The basic premise is that Mystery Inc., after foiling a cold open, allows them to then go into the next event.
So they get her a favor because they want to go to, where?
It's UK. Just UK.
So anyway, they go to UK land, and they're just like, oh man, this King Arthur stuff is cool. Man, look, there's a celebration going on. That makes me think of witches' ghosts. This'll be sweet.
Don't remind us of better movies.
But then they find out just like, oh my god, Shaggy, you have ancestry from King Arthur's times. Isn't that cool?
I guess it is. Check out this dope medallion I apparently always had on me at all times. That was passed out of my family for generations. Is that Morgan Le Fay? Ah, back in time.
And it's wind up back in time, and they gotta figure out how to get back home. And also, they gotta figure out how to not mess up the timeline. Because if they vanish from this phone right here, then that means the timeline is destroyed.
I mean, see... Okay, let's start with that. That fundamentally cannot work. Like, the photo can work in Back to the Future because it is a photo. And yes, even though the photo does do the whole, it doesn't let the past reflect the future instantaneous, it does a slow, like, gradient towards how, by changing the past, you've altered the future, because that's how Back to the Future does it with the photo. With the movie, they try to do the same thing, but it fundamentally can't work, because the idea is that, at first, when Velma's looking at her phone, in her brain meat, she registers that
As long as the lock screen picture stays the same, then it means we haven't changed the timeline.
But if you have a cell phone, and I'd like to think most viewers by this point do, you know exactly when your phone dies of batteries.
Yeah, it just seems like a really just ham-handed way of basically trying to go about like that ending twist sort of thing, to be like, wasn't it smart that we did it like this because it makes sense and all that? Because it's not like Back to the Future, it's just a regular thing.
But it makes Velma look like an idiot because she doesn't know how to operate a phone to check how much power she has in a battery, which is an ongoing thing for the last couple of movies. Velma has gotten just progressively dumber.
To me, it's basically just very hand-wavy in a sense, where she basically just like calls it out. It's just like, it's not real and all that. I don't have an explanation for why it's not real. It's just not real, and that's the end of that.
The film is an hour and 16 minutes total, but it's an hour and 12 without closing credits. And the entire middle portion of the film is just a action comedy sequence of padding that doesn't actually keep the mystery going. It doesn't give you clues on who could be what or who's plotting what.
Yeah, and it feels like they're holding back from the mystery aspect as well, by basically underplaying it even more and more as the movies go on. But there have been movies like that with the action-oriented sort of aspect that have worked better. Like that would be like Samurai Sword, even arguably Pirates Ahoy worked a lot better. There wasn't really not a focus on the mystery aspect. But here, they basically are laying out a mystery, just like what's actually going on here. They just have misadventures in Arthurian time.
And then you go into just the third act and wrap it up.
And by then, you basically have to be like, oh no, how do we explain all this? Blah! Here's all the clues. Even clues that we never like pinpointed at all. And you also have like all the mystery before, which is like, oh no, we weren't really back in time. We were just over there, just down the street and all that. Which basically also calls into question all the other clues that we had at the beginning of the movie, which is like, oh no cell service or anything like that. When literally at the end of the movie, someone just pulls out a cell phone and be like, oh yeah, I got cell service, here we go. And also there's no windows on that side of the building, so that shows that this castle wasn't a real castle. Man, the mystery solved.
I still don't get the logic that... So they use old footage from Thundar the Barbarian, an old Hanna-Barbera property, but it's voiced over like it's almost like an
abridged series, and it's just so cartoonishly bad.
Do you like my toupee, barbarian?
Demon dogs. He's taken a piece of Ookla's mane and used it to cover his bald spot. Why can't cat people just grow old gracefully?
And then the twist in the final act of the film is, oh, that Thundar footage that we showed you, that's supposed to be live action in the confines of the animated universe you're watching right now, but fundamentally that can't work because how are we, the audience, supposed to know that was realistic and this is hand-drawn when they're both hand-drawn?
Yeah, because even when they're like, the girls are talking about it, just like, oh man, his abs were so good and all that.
But you like Thundar.
I like Thundar's abs, okay? I watch it for the abs.
Me too.
Like, people have said that about like animated characters and their abs and such, so how are we supposed to make a distinction?
So they do the thing you and I have really grown sick and tired of, which is the is it, isn't it kind of ending, where it seemed like it was supernatural, and then they just say, no, it's not, but then a character will show up and be like, or is it? They did that with Vincent Van Gogh's grandfather as Asmodeus. They did it with the cat demon in Return to Zombie Island. So we hate the did they, don't they, because then Merlin was the real Merlin, but was he the real Merlin? Yeah, okay, that's crap. My question to you, I want to pose. How do you do this? Because for me, my proposition has always been just have it be set in the time period. Because if you can't write the time travel element cleanly, it'd be more suited to be like that episode of Be Cool Scooby-Doo where they do A Christmas Carol. They happen to exist in like the 1800s or whatever time period Ebenezer Scrooge exists in, and then A Christmas Carol just plays out as is. My proposal would be you just have it set during the medieval time period, you have Mystery Inc., and you have them each be medieval equivalents. Shaggy and Scooby are food tasters for the king, Fred could be like a knight in training, Daphne could either be a lady in waiting, but I understand people don't like her being a damsel, so I do propose then she could maybe be the Purple Knight, a parody of the Black Knight, and then have Velma, she is an apprentice to Merlin, but she's more of an alchemist. She's less focused on the magic, and she's more interested on like how we can improve scientifically, and that's how I would do it, because to me, I'm so sick of time travel, because everyone's answer for time travel is either you erase the memory of the people who went on the time travel adventure, or is it, isn't it endings, and I'm so tired of it, so played out. So your pitch is simple, just be earnest about it, just time travel, that's it. And so what do you do?
Just do it, have a mystery back then and everything like that. It doesn't really matter what the mystery is, it can be centered around Morgan Le Fay, but you basically just set up a mystery where there are actual suspects, where there are actual characters for the gang to bounce off of and everything, because that is where you get the dynamic for the gang to be basically be able for them to do stuff.
So when they come to the present, do they just keep their memories and they just don't tell anybody that they like time traveled?
Yes, Just do that. Just don't have them tell anyone afterwards where it's just like, well, just keep it to ourselves and all that. Just have them be that. They're like nice kids anyways. All they care about is helping people. Or that's all they really should. And they can just go off to their next adventure. You don't need to always just wipe their memories and all that.
I'd like to point out that this movie repeatedly had the civilians who were not malicious, but did want to steal Shaggy's land, actively try to kill Mystery Inc., and the whole film plays it off as a yuck kind of moment.
Yeah, everything's all right as soon as we, try to stab Daphne in the face. Whoops. It's fine. Time travel can definitely work in Scooby-Doo. Just play it in earnest and it's just as simple as that. You had fun with all sorts of other adventures, why couldn't we have fun with time travel?
So your solution to fix an issue with Scooby-Doo is do what actually worked back in the 60s.
Yes, exactly. And also, it's not just what worked in the 60s, what worked in the 70s, what worked in the 90s, what worked in the 2000s, and what worked in the 2010s. It has worked all throughout Scooby's run.
I just hear some executive going like,
Thanks for stopping by ToonGrin Quickies. Be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell to stay up to date on all ToonGrin projects. You can follow us on our social media, join our Discord, and support us by tipping on our Patreon or making a purchase in our online shop. All links are in the description below. Thanks for stopping by, and as always, be sure to tune in to ToonGrin.